Today I'm going to be doing a video all about beauty sponges. I'm going to be sharing with you guys different types, ones that are my favorites, because I have found throughout using each one, there's a little bit of differences for each one, and they do play a different role, I guess, in my makeup. So if you guys want to see my favorites and pros and cons on each one of these bad boys, then let's go ahead and get on into it. Alright, so beauty sponges I feel are my favorite way of applying my foundation, concealer. So I do have quite a few to share with you guys. I just kind of want to share with you like the pros and the cons of each one because I find they do different things, as weird as that sounds, because it is just a beauty sponge. I think that they work a little bit differently and go ahead and apply different products in different ways, if that makes sense. So I'm going to start off with the OG Beauty Blender, and that's right over here. I do have the black one. This one is awesome. I use this a ton to apply my foundation. I also use it to do my concealer as well. It is my favorite for foundation just because of the bounciness it has. I've been using Beauty Blender, the brand Beauty Blender, for like years, so I love it. It is really important to wash these like no other because they're sponges and they create a lot of bacteria, which sounds super gross. I find it is the most flawless looking type of application when I'm using a beauty sponge. I find that I have no problems with it. It is a little bit pricey. That's why the other ones I'm going to be sharing with you guys are like a fraction of the cost and still work the same way. So I guess you could say those are kind of dupes, but they do have a little bit of differences as well. So it is an egg shape, obviously, and it's really easy to go ahead and pounce on the skin for foundation. It also has a point, which is really easy for your concealer underneath the eyes, or also like applying maybe highlighter to the tops of the cheekbones, however you want to apply it. Almost all of my tutorials, I think all of them actually, I'm using a beauty sponge to apply my foundation. Just as of recently, I've been using the oval brush to use my foundation, but sponges, girl, a whole nother level. I feel like it just gives it the most flawless looking face. But also I have a ton others that I want to share with you guys. So as you can see, they're different shapes, different sizes, have some like funky little designs on them, different type of texture too on them. So that is why I'm sharing them. And then we got some little baby ones too, which are somewhat new for me, which I really do enjoy. Moving over to the little ones, we got these two baby ones, and these are super convenient, but also can get lost, so be careful. They're really easy to go ahead and apply your concealer with or dab your powder underneath your eyes. The eyes are really sensitive, so it makes sense to use a smaller type of sponge to go ahead and apply it. I'm always using my beauty blender or beauty sponge to apply my concealer and then to put on my powder as well. I find it just seeps right into the skin really nicely, so using a tiny one I think is like really cool and easy, and they do have two different shapes on them. So this one's more like a pear shape, and I find that this works really easy because I can put my fingers right in the little crevices and pounce right into the skin. I do get these wet, so they will get a tiny bit bigger, but not really like crazy big or anything. And I always use these in patting motions. I never drag because that's just going to drag the product along the skin, and that's kind of defeating the entire purpose of blending it to the skin and making it look pretty flawless. So you want to make sure that you're always pouncing on the skin and blending it in that way. Now this one is more of a flatter edge and looks like a little teepee and like a little triangle. And this one's really easy for that same exact thing. It just depends how you want to apply it. So I would use the point for concealer and put it like that, and then I would probably use the flat edge to go ahead and press in my powder. And I just think these are really easy, super duper cute. Can get lost, so be careful where you put them. This one and then the one I'm about to show you are from Royal and Langnickel, the Moda collection, which is found at Walmart. The baby ones you can find, Real Techniques has them by themselves. So these ones I do need to wash, so please don't mind that. But these ones are the same exact thing, just duplicated into a bigger sponge. So these are the baby ones and these are the big ones. So I would use these more for the face, and these are more focused on the eyes. Next two are by Real Techniques, and these are my favorite ones, but they do have some cons to them as well. So this one is my new one by Real Techniques, and this one is the Miracle Diamond Sponge or something along those lines, and it is marbleized, which I love. So of course I had to pick it up because it was marble, but then as I was using it, I really do love it. So I really do like the flatter side to apply my foundation and blend it all out. I find that I hold the top of the diamond part like this, and then I just pounce it on the skin and blend it everywhere. And it does give a seamless amount of coverage, and I don't find it soaking up a lot of products, which some sponges do soak up a ton of products. So you want to put your foundation on your skin maybe first if you find that issue, because if you put it on your hand or like pounce it in or put it right on the sponge, you're losing a lot of foundation and it's going right in the middle. So I like blending it out with this side to do my entire face. And then when it comes time to concealer, I thought it was gonna fit perfectly underneath the eyes and get right in there, like by the inner corner and all those delicate spots and little wrinkle areas because it's so tiny and pointy and a little flimsy and just perfect, right? Wrong. So it does apply it nicely when you get like to over here. Once you have to get up in there, all up in there, no girl, does not work like that because this is way too flimsy. So I wouldn't recommend using that side to do the concealer. You can try to use one of these pointed edges that are designed on the side of the diamond. Should probably work out better for you, but in that case I wouldn't even use this for concealer. I would just use this for foundation because I don't like how flimsy this is and it does not get anything. You're like pushing into the skin and then it just literally goes flat, so I don't really like that whole factor of it. My other real techniques beauty sponge is the Complexion Sponge, and this is like this. Used it multiple times on my channel. I've used it for like ever. Sometimes I like this over the Beauty Blender because I find it gets a little bit more like bouncy like and just kind of blends out the product a little bit more. So in my opinion, the Beauty Blender has a little bit more of the like crevices and holes and just seeps a lot more product than this sponge would. I don't find it having that issue, and I do like this sponge because it has that flat edge right here, so you can use that in multiple different ways. You can use that to press down your powder, press down your concealer under the eyes. You can use this to carve out your cheekbones, use this to bake. You can use this side for anything, and then you can use the pointed side, of course, for the under eye. Now I like to use the edge right here to pounce in my foundation, and then I'll use the flatter edge to do my powder and concealing. When I initially put the concealer down, I use the point, but then I'll blend it out with the flatter edge. So with all of these sponges, I'm constantly turning them and going like this and, you know, working its magic, but I do find that they do different things on each side of the sponge. As weird as that sounds, I feel like they battle each other in a way. So these two were by Real Techniques. I will also have all these sponges linked down below for you guys, just so you guys know also where I picked them up from. So this one also is a big favorite of mine, and it is the Tarts Spun. It is a little bit bigger, and I find the texture of it is way different. It is harder and feels more like a different kind of sponge. The other sponges feel really soft. This one kind of feels like a thicker material sponge, if that makes any sense. And when I wet it, it does get like dramatically bigger, like not just a little bit, like a lot. I really thought this was gonna soak up a ton more product, but it actually doesn't, and I love it. So I use this side to apply with my foundation, and I pounce it all over the skin, and then I don't really use this too much for concealer, but I will use it for powder. I find it just gives a flawless look to the skin and just really gets the foundation on there, doesn't wipe it away, and doesn't make it any less coverage than the foundation originally is. So this one can be found, I believe, at Sephora or Ulta. I will link it below. Of course, all of these sponges claim to, you know, use them a certain way. You can use this edge for this and this edge for that. You can use it however you want. It's a sponge. Take it and use it the way you want to. I'm just sharing the way that I use it. So the next one, and I believe is the last one, is the sponge from Oprah Cosmetics, and it's this green type of sponge. Mine did break a little bit, so I probably do need a new one because it's a little old and a little wonky right now. It is super soft. I use this a lot for under my eyes. I find it just works really nicely, and yeah, I'm always bouncing back and forth. Get it? I'm always bouncing back and forth between the sponges, but these are just my all-time favorite. I definitely don't think you need all of these sponges or whatnot, like totally no. I'm just sharing how they work differently and what I found like throughout using them. And now I feel like every single brand is coming out with one, and there's a lot at the drugstore now, which is really good because the Beauty Blender's price, come on, let's be real. I'm just being real with you guys. That's so expensive for a sponge that really you can't even use like past 2 months because that just gets gross, you know? It's definitely my favorite way of applying my foundation and concealers. Those are my beauty sponges and how I put them to work. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, maybe found it a little helpful. I know there's probably a ton of them out there like this, like battling the sponges and whatnot, but I did want to share because I'm always using them and I feel like I don't really talk about them as much as I'm using them. So yeah, just wanted to throw that out there. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you guys in my next one. Bye!